Hi, my name is Jamie, and welcome to the One World, One Voice, Your Story Project. We share stories from people all over the world and from all different walks of life. Because here's the thing, no matter where you are on this wild planet, and no matter what journey you have already been on, we all have our own unique story, which brings our own unique perspectives to the table. And you never know who you might inspire or completely transform simply by getting real and sharing your story. And right now, while the whole world is dealing with COVID-19, there are 7 billion people all venturing through on their own unique path. So drop in with us to hear some of these stories. And on that note, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Corona Diaries. Okay, amazing. So, let's get started. Just looking at my phone for the date because literally, no matter how many interviews I do in one day, I still have to look at the date every time. So today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. And to get us started, I would love to know who I'm sitting here with today. So let's just start with a couple basic questions. What's your name?
My name is Alessandra. I am from Brazil.
Okay.
And I'm currently in Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay. So your name is Alessandra, and is that what you go by all the time, or do you have a shorter name that you go by?
Ale.
Ale. Okay.
Ale.
Fabulous. Ale. And you are currently in Istanbul, Turkey, but you're from Brazil.
Yeah, I'm from Brazil.
Okay, amazing. So you're living in Istanbul, and what kind of place are you living in? Where are you right now? Is it a house, apartment, condo?
It's an apartment. I just moved to this apartment in November with my 2 kids. Okay. I got divorced recently.
Should I be saying congratulations, or should I be sad for you?
You should be saying whatever, whatever you feel like.
Well, how do you feel? I say that because
sometimes
people say it's the best thing to happen to them, you know?
It's sometimes not easy, even if it's good. I don't think it's an easy thing to happen to anyone, but we ended in good terms. We're friends. It was a 20-year relationship, so it's not an easy thing to end. Ended in good terms. I have the kids with me, but we split the duties with the kids. The kids stay with me in a little while.
Okay.
So it's very fair.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
My parents got separated when I was 2, and divorced when I was 4, and I feel so unbelievably blessed in terms of how they chose to handle it, because it really is a choice, right? And
yeah, definitely, it's hard work.
It takes a lot of work, and you don't realize that as a kid. And now as an adult, I've thanked my parents so many times because, gosh, it can go so many ways. And all 4 of my parents are friends. My half-brothers that like aren't from the same marriage, they're friends. Like, so lucky. But it takes work.
That's our goal.
Yeah, well,
we'll get there.
Sounds like you're making it happen already.
Yeah, we're making it happen by hard work because our kids one is going to be 17 by the end of this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the other one is 11. So they are pretty much aware of everything that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a point that, even if we split, if we divorce and everything, the kids have to know where they stand, what's their situation. And it took us, after the whole ordeal of, choosing to separate and choosing to divorce, now you're getting along. So I can invite him for dinner.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Okay, we didn't even have that. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. And your kids must be so grateful. And
I hope so. We're doing this for us because, we had a relationship for 20 years and we love each other.
Yeah, of course. You're best friends more than anything,
Yeah. And especially for them as well.
Of course.
So they grow up with this example, people don't have to be together forever. They have to be happy. This is our only goal in life. So if you're not happy with somebody anymore, you have to have the courage to say, okay, this cycle is over, but that doesn't mean that we don't love you as our children, or we don't love each other anymore.
Totally.
It's a big process. It's not an easy process, but it's a big one.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine. And you're awesome for being so intentional about it. So
Yeah.
when did you said you moved in November?
Yeah.
2019. When did you get divorced?
Officially divorced in February this year.
This year in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only reason I'm asking is because the world is changing around us, and you're going through your own big personal change as well, which is wild. And imagine if like you hadn't made that decision when you did, and then Corona.
I'd be dead by now.
That is so wild to think about. I mean, okay, before we go into any of that, let me get one more like scope of, okay, so you have your 2 kids there sometimes. Any animals, pets living with you?
Yes, I have this one. Wait.
Cute. Oh my God.
This little French bulldog.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
My little monster, Amora.
Amora, so cute. Okay, so, and it's an apartment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 3-bedroom apartment in a
okay, complex. So you have your own room. Perfect.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And what do you do?
Well, I'm a translator. Officially, I'm a translator and a tourist guide. We have a company we do service for Brazilian people. So relocation, translation, business, and,
Interesting. Okay, so you speak
a bridge between, Brazilian companies and Turkish companies.
Okay, so you speak Portuguese. How many languages do you speak? Let's go there first.
I speak Portuguese, Turkish, English, and Italian.
I'm surprised Spanish isn't in the mix.
I can handle Spanish, but I cannot say, it's not fair for me to say that I speak Spanish because I never went to school. I never studied it. But
you speak Portuguese, you can understand, and Italian.
Definitely.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Cool. I mean, I always said if I could have any superpower in the world, it would be to speak all languages. It's magic.
The best.
It unlocks worlds. Yeah, it's crazy. And oh my gosh, being in Istanbul, some people speak English, and it's so crazy because I can fall back on it a lot in most countries. I speak Spanish too, so that helps me. But in Istanbul, if you don't speak Turkish and you can't read the language and you don't have a friend that speaks, it's really hard. It's really hard.
But on the same way, I don't know if you found that, I think they're very helpful. I mean, they try their best in order to understand you and to make themselves understood.
Yes. The only reason I say it hesitantly is because I travel a lot, like all over the world. And I actually found that Turkish people were not the most helpful compared to some other countries.
Really?
Not that they weren't nice. That's not what I'm saying. And I love the country.
No. You can say whatever I can tell all the defects.
I know. I loved the country. I could just feel that there was definitely a pull to adapt to their culture and speak the language more, which I appreciate a lot. I can totally understand. In some other countries, I feel like there was more excitement about having a tourist there, more desire to want to actually like speak English. Yeah.
That's really different from what I experience and from what my customers experience when they come here. I mean, I have a story. It's so ridiculous. I have a couple of friends. They were going to the hospital to visit a girl who had a baby, and they got lost, and there was a woman in front of her house. And they just stopped and they said, like, hospital. When they said that, the woman got desperate because she thought that they needed a hospital. So she jumped into the car and she was like, go. She was with them in the car and they were like, is this woman crazy?
Oh my God.
Once they got to the hospital, she got out of the car and she's like,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of stories like that.
I've had experiences like that too. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a very friendly social person. It was just, there are, like, I've been to Nepal, for example, which was, I've never experienced more genuine kindness, openness, like wanting to just show up and be there for you and pride of their own country, but wanting to know about you. So like, when you experience something like that, there's just different levels. So it's not to say that anything's wrong about Islam.
Yeah, I totally get you.
In the US, people will help, but they're cold as hell and they're not going to go out of their way necessarily. So I'm speaking from like, I know what it's like, you know. And anyway, okay, so you are a translator, and you also help people transition when they're starting their life there. Okay, cool. I imagine
Which
especially
means
interesting
I'm
right
not
now.
working.
Okay, I was going to ask you. So before we go into that, though, let's take a couple steps back in time.
Okay.
When was the first time you remember hearing about the coronavirus?
I was in Brazil on vacation, actually. I was about to come back. I went to Brazil in the beginning of January. And I think by the end of January, it started the whole thing, the whole ordeal. And I was like, okay, hopefully they're going to close all the borders so I get stuck here. The kids were there with me.
But you wanted to stay in Brazil.
I wanted, just because I had no idea this was going to be as big as it was. You know, when I was
okay, so you're like, maybe I'll stay for an extra week or something.
Exactly. I was like, I stay 2 more weeks and that's it. But thankfully I came back, because the situation here is a million times better than there. A million times. Brazil is like, they say it's right now the epicenter of the pandemic it's in Brazil right now.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, unfortunately, it makes sense because the president of your country said, we're strong, right? Like, we don't need to do anything. We thought that Trump was bad. And Trump is bad.
And even Trump is condemning, our president. So when it comes to that point, seriously, we have a problem.
Which is really interesting because, and I'm going really like bonkers out of order in this interview, but who cares? You know what? Actually, I'm going to hold off on that. Okay. Because we will go there at the end. So you were in Brazil. It is now the epicenter of the pandemic. So you're happy that you're back in Istanbul for sure. I don't blame you.
But when we came back through Italy on the 3rd of February. And we were at the airport, at Rome airport, for 7 hours. And when we got back, by 3-4 days later, me and my 2 kids, we got sick. But we got sick like with very mild symptoms. My mother was desperate. She was like, oh, you guys have the coronavirus. My youngest kid, he was coughing a lot. I had a sore throat. And my oldest son, he had like the flu, but very mild symptoms. So I don't know. Did we get it? Didn't we get it?
Yeah. Okay. Woo! Almost fell back in my chair. Okay. Super interesting. So you go to Brazil at the beginning of January. You were there for a month almost, it sounds like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you got to make it worth it if you're going to go that far, which, by the way, how long have you lived in Turkey for? 14
years.
Okay. A significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So do you go like once a year? Is this like your annual
Definitely.
trip? Okay. So go back to see the family. And I imagine life was normal in Brazil, right? Like nothing was
super normal.
Okay.
Especially because they had Carnival coming up.
Of course. So in February.
Even if they knew about cases, they would never, let the public know. So, how can you ruin Carnival?
Yeah.
And I said to everybody, you can bet on it. Carnival, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then
it's massive. How many
Wednesday?
How many people show up at Carnival? Thousands.
Yeah, millions and millions of people. So they have Ash Wednesday. It's over officially. And I said, you can bet money on me that on Ash Wednesday we're gonna have the first case of corona. And so it was.
Of course. Wow. And people come from all over the world for Carnival.
Exactly.
So of course it's gonna, holy moly. Okay. So, and you were there at the time, or you left right before Carnival, right?
Right before, yeah.
Right before. But then you went right to Italy. Now, by the way, so you're in Brazil this whole time. You start hearing about coronavirus. Maybe the borders are gonna shut down. You kind of wanted to stay in Brazil. Okay, cool. How did you feel though? Were you nervous? Did you think it was going to get serious? Did you hear anything about it being in Turkey or Istanbul?
No, in Turkey it came much later. It came in the middle of March.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you about that. So you were thinking, this is not a big deal.
I think I was pretty much thinking like everybody else. It's just, like the swine flu.
Sure, sure. Like it's an issue there.
It's a new wave and it's a problem, and eventually some people are going to get it, but nothing to be worried about.
Sure. And it's going to be serious over there in China. We worried for them, maybe a couple cases, but I don't really have to worry about it.
Did anybody really, normal people, just, average people like us, did anybody had any idea it would get that massive, that big, and huge?
There's a handful of people that I spoke to that were super into the news and maybe had like a medical family member or were in the industry or were just constantly on top of things that did know.
And probably made fun of because, people would never believe it.
Exactly. So there were a handful of people that knew and were prepared, but most people, it's like, it's not until it's in your own backyard that we actually give a shit. This is part of why I'm doing this project, because I truly believe that what happens is when somebody is vulnerable, right, and you open up and you share your story, you can't help but fall in love with them. This connection forms, right? Yeah. This oneness. And that, when you fall in love with somebody, you have to care. You can't not care. And if we do that more and more, maybe we will care about the people in Wuhan. It will feel more like our own backyard. So, but that is a thing. We don't care until it's right here.
Yeah.
So you were.
Can I say one thing?
Of course. It's
when I was a teenager, I was part of a project called CISV.
Okay.
And it's Children International Summer Camp.
Cool.
Villages, Children International Summer Villages. And it's all over the world. And the premises of it, I mean, the philosophy of this, it's like this. If you go to another country and you meet people from that country belongs to you too.
Yep.
So you're never going to disregard anything that happened to the country. So they promoted from 10-year-old to 18-year-old kids to travel and make exchange traveling during summer times. It was nothing to do with school. So we get to know people from all over the world. The summer camps, they had people from like 15 countries. Those countries, they live in your heart.
Forever.
They live in your heart forever. So, I mean, that's my background. It really has been very rich in this matter.
I love that.
And what you're doing, it's a virtual CISV. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And if you have that as a kid, I mean, that changes your life forever.
Absolutely.
You cannot unlearn that. No. And there's a massive difference. You can tell somebody who's traveled and gotten out of their own world. You can just tell. So, okay. So end of Jan, you knew you were going to have a layover in Italy.
Yeah.
At that time, and I remember it, like, it wasn't so bad in Italy, actually, at that time. It
was 4th of February. We had a 7-hour layover over there.
But it wasn't so bad then. It actually wasn't until the end of Italy.
No, it wasn't. It was nothing.
Yeah, you didn't.
I had zero worries.
I was going to say,
we weren't even
wearing
masks
in the airport? Did anybody think? Totally normal. Okay. So then you get home and you probably didn't even think I should quarantine. You just acted business as usual.
Normal.
And then
life just went on. But not sick. I mean, I got just, a mild sore throat.
But your kids got sick. Now, when you all started to feel sick, okay, whether or not you actually got sick or you just had the symptoms, what'd you think? Did you? Nothing.
I was like, it's normal. We just, we were in summer, we came back to winter, traveling, we were tired.
Didn't think twice about it. So you probably were still going out and doing your life every day while you were sick.
Everything. My kids were going to school.
Super interesting. Okay, so
I don't mean to sound irresponsible. It's just like we didn't even consider that it could be.
Of course, it wasn't irresponsible at the time. Why would you have thought about it?
Exactly. I mean, really, we thought, coronavirus is this thing you cannot breathe and you're going to go to the hospital. So we had none of that, not even a fever,
Well, one of your kids had a mild flu, right? Like a fever.
No, not a fever. Just, like runny nose and a little bit of coughing.
Okay. So that was, let's say, early to middle of February.
Yeah.
When did life start changing? When did you start thinking, oh, wait a second, this might actually be a bigger deal than I originally thought?
Since it wasn't in Turkey, I was really concerned because I have an aunt She lives in Italy, in Verona.
Uh-huh.
So it's right near Lombardia.
Uh-huh. Is this why you
And
speak Italian?
yeah, my family's from there.
Okay.
And I was concerned about her because she is over 65 years old and she lives on her own. And I was telling her, come over here, because if this gets really ugly, at least you're here with us. I mean, it's much better
Ah.
here. We don't have any cases here. And she's like, no, 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 I'm not coming. Which today I say thankful. I'm thankful that she didn't come because we would have killed each other by this time.
Ha!
But then they closed the borders.
And that was it.
And
No option.
no, and then I got concerned when we got the first case here in Turkey because we got confirmed on a Wednesday, and by this same Friday, they closed everything. They took action really, really, really quick.
Fast. Okay, so when was that? What was the date? Do you remember that Wednesday?
16th of March.
Okay, so that's basically the exact same time that things got serious here in Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to say the whole U.S. because it was already serious in Washington and New York beforehand. And it actually happened. It happened fast, but it happened kind of slow here too. At the same time, because we started hearing about it and it took like 2 weeks for us to actually shut things down. But for you all, you got your
the schools, they closed immediately.
First confirmed case Wednesday, schools closed by Friday.
Friday was the last day of school.
Okay.
And 1 week later, businesses and bars, restaurants, everything.
Actually, you know what? The 16th was a Monday because I know the 17th was a Tuesday because that was St. Patrick's Day here in the U.S.
So it's 1 week before. It's the week before.
Okay, so you actually closed the week before we did in the U.S.
Yeah, the 16th was the first day of no school.
Okay, that makes sense because that was the Monday. Yeah. So Friday the 13th is when.
Yeah, exactly. Friday the 13th. We make fun of it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, what an ironic time, like date.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you found out you had the first case. What was that? The 11th.
Yeah.
And when you found out there was a case in Istanbul, and you started hearing about how serious it was in Italy the couple weeks prior, is that when you were like, wait a second, when we were sick, could we have gotten, like, when did it register? Like,
no,
I could have had it.
A couple of weeks ago.
Only recently?
Yes, super recently. I don't know if I'm irresponsible, but I'm very like, cool. I'm just really tired mentally, psychologically, physically, because everything is on me right now. But things are being handled in a way here in Turkey that it makes me really, how can you say it in English? Calm.
Okay, let's hear about that because I want to know, what is it actually like in Turkey? How did your government handle it? So all of a sudden, and I know last year when I was there at this exact time last year, there was some very interesting stuff happening with politics and voting.
Oh, last year was ridiculous. It was all the mayor voting that recalled.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it was kind of fucked up, right? And people were nervous about who was going to be in power. So, but now a year later, you're saying, I feel really calm. It sounds like you're happy with the way they're handling it.
I don't say much about him because you know where we are and we're not supposed to say anything.
So, yeah.
Especially if it's bad. But in this situation, just to be specific, I think it has been handled well.
So let's hear about that. What are they doing there?
They closed everything in a very good time, in my opinion. They took lockdown measurements every weekend. So because the weather started to turn good, people would like to go out to the parks and everything. So he closed all the beaches. He closed all the the seaside.
Yeah.
You cannot walk, whatever.
Like a boardwalk kind of thing.
Yeah, no, he closed everything. And lockdowns on the weekend every Friday until Sunday for a month. It was like this. And
so like during the week you could walk outside, but on the weekend
over 65 years old, no. And up to 20 years old, it's forbidden. Up to 20 and over 65. It has been forbidden since 16th of March.
So, okay, if you're between the ages of 20 to 65, you can walk around. But
You
if
can
you're over
walk around.
65 and under 20, that's it. You're inside, period.
You're inside, yeah. And then they put the mandatory mask using if you're going to any public places, you know, such amount of people can go in and out of the supermarket or pharmacy. And then last weekend it was a lockdown, and for the first time on Sunday, he made a short period where people over 65 years old could go out. So from 11 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 65 year old people could walk around. So you would peek outside, it would be like cocoon. It would be only old people all over the place. It was like the old people apocalypse. So they
Oh
could
my
go
God,
out
that
for
would
the
be so
first.
weird. But they had to get out. You go
They
crazy.
didn't have to, exactly. So, and then as of Monday, the shopping malls reopened.
Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah, Monday they reopened in a very tight schedule. No recreation areas or no food court open, just the stores. And from 11 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening. They measure the temperature before you go in. You have to go in with masks, and there's only a certain amount of people that can get in at the same time. As of Monday. And then yesterday, kids up to 14 years old could get out. So from 11 to 4 o'clock in the evening, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was such a view. I mean, I could see the kids outside running like maniacs, like, you know, really like, you know, if you open a dog that has been leashed for a long time, it was the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And tomorrow, kids from 15 years old up to 20-year-old, they're going to be able to go out from same time, 11 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So you have kids that are in those ranges.
Yeah. And I'm putting them out and locking the door. Say, just stay out.
I was going to say, as a parent, are you relieved?
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel?
That feels wonderful for them. And especially for them, I mean, they need to at least see some sun. It's warm. It's 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, 30s, like 80 something,
Yeah.
75. Wow.
And then on this Friday night, we start lockdown again. But since we have a holiday on Tuesday, it's going to be a 4-day lockdown. That's horrible. That's a feeling I don't wish on anyone.
Wow. Okay. So let me see if I can wrap my head around what you're saying. So the weather got nice. Okay. So you went on shutdown, but it sounds like at first people between the ages of 20 to 65 could go outside and walk during the day.
During the week.
During Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend, nobody was able to go anywhere.
No. It's a fine of about $500.
Wow, that's so interesting. I have not heard of that in any other country yet. Okay, so that was the rule. Then all of a sudden, certain days recently, the older population and the younger population can go out, but only one day at a time and only certain hours at a time.
Yes, they're scheduling everything.
Okay, and now even within that though, still if you're between 20 and 65, you can go out still. Okay, yeah. Now, and then on the weekends though, they're still making everybody not be able to go out. Wow.
Everything's going to be closed because Turkish
people. So you have like the one slim opportunity to go get the stuff that you need during the week.
Yeah.
Or get outdoors, breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
And you sound really clear on the rules, because a lot of other people I talk to, and even me here in the US, I know Colorado started opening up again. I don't know what it means. I don't know the rules. How are they communicating this information?
They are sending like really clear bulletins with the, you know, the schedule, what can happen, what cannot, what it's going to be, the plan from now on, what's going to happen. So I know up to the end of May what's going to happen, what's the schedule, what's the plan.
Okay, that is really awesome.
Yeah, that's why it makes me feel really calm. Maybe it's all a bunch of bullshit. You know, some people debate that. Some people debate that the numbers are wrong. Some people debate this is, just, I don't care. It makes me feel really calm. Like, it seems like they're taking steps in order to bring us back to normality. And they're not like overdoing it, because they say normality, it's going to be in September. Up to then, we're still going to have, back and
But you
forth
know what?
lockdowns.
But what you've been given is, it almost gives you this like illusion of control or security.
Exactly.
You have a plan. You're like, okay, I know this. It's like we're all sitting here and nobody knows anything still. So it's like that is overwhelming. And regardless of whether or not it's true, you still have the plan, and that feels reassuring.
And so far, it has been put to work.
Yeah.
So far, everything they said was going to happen happened. So we have 4 days of lockdown. It sucks, but we know on Tuesday at midnight, it's going to be over. Then we have 3 more days of freedom, and then 4 more days of lockdown because it's the Ramadan feast.
Oh my God, this is so interesting that you have like a clear schedule.
Yeah. In my opinion, but this just happens because it's one decision. It's almost dictatorial because, he's not asking, what do you think as a mayor in Istanbul?
Yeah, sure, but I don't know what's better, because sometimes people are saying, just
in this situation,
and stick with it.
Exactly. In this situation, I think, he did better. And they close all the borders within Turkey too. You don't go out of any city.
Okay, so if you're in Istanbul, you're not going to Ankara, you're not going to Cappadocia. Okay.
Unless you have a valid reason.
But that's super interesting, and maybe you're about to go there. Like, I know a lot of people like commute, take the train. Is it Ankara? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
So you're going from Istanbul to Ankara, back and forth all of the time.
If you have to, if your position is mandatory that you're going to be there, they're probably going to say, okay, you can have this commute, but you have to either
but it has to be
there
essential, and you have to pass it.
And it has to be essential, and you have to have a whatever, something written by your company that, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I mean, it makes me feel like really.
Yeah, you can breathe. There is, regardless of whether or not it's false, there is a sense of security.
I don't research much. I mean, I get the bulletins every day from the news, from official sites, from the Ministry of Health. And that's it. I rather believe that.
Well, everybody wants that. Just want something to give them that security and to believe onto, whether or not, shit. At the end of the day, there's no truth. The only universal truth that we know is that one day we won't be here. Everything else is up for chance interpretation. And if you choose to believe it, it is true. So you choose to believe this path. And I would too, if I was given that. Are you kidding me? I think every person on the planet would right now. Yeah. Would be dying for what you have.
And I'm talking to my parents, and they're so confused. In Brazil, they think it's a big plot to put the government down. I'm like, are you guys out of your mind? Wow. The whole world, it's on a lockdown practically, basically. And you think really it's a whole plot to put your
There's still people that are thinking the 5G conspiracy. There's the conspiracy about like the Illuminati and the New World Order. I mean, hey, I love conspiracies. I think it's fun and interesting, but at the end of the day, who cares why? It's here. We have to deal with it.
That's what I say. China made it. Who cares?
Right.
We're still in the same situation.
But what you're saying about your parents is so fascinating, because I thought, okay, in the US, we have a privilege that is annoying to me, because I think that we should be more aware of the world, but we don't necessarily hadn't have to in the US, because it's we live in a bubble. And supposedly, the leader of the first world, and I think a lot of that's getting exposed right now, which I'm actually happy about, because it's been a bunch of bullshit and an illusion for a long time. But I was thinking, okay, now we have this virus that's affecting the whole world. Maybe we'll wake up and pay more attention to global news. Maybe it's happened on a very, very small scale, but so many people still aren't paying attention. No. Your parents, it's like, wow, even with something that's affecting the entire planet, people still are only paying attention to what's right in front of them. And it's
exactly what it's good for me. Exactly. I need to go out and I need to work, because people are going to starve to death in Brazil. That's what they say. I'm like, people have been starving to death in Brazil for decades, for centuries. And you just realize it now? Yeah. Do you really think they're going to start now? Like we were Switzerland up to half an hour ago. We have poverty. We have the biggest slums in the world. You know, people die of hunger every day in Brazil. You know, if you don't go to your work and your job and you don't get your, $15,000 paycheck, slow down. You're in the good side.
Amen. Amen. And it's so, I mean, I wonder, okay, so let's get into some of these other questions. First of all, like, this is what I was going to ask you earlier, and I just got to ask it coming up. And the first thing is, you said, okay, you have this plan in Istanbul or Turkey, the country, until September, right? Is when they say, okay, maybe we're going to go live. I mean, but if you could predict the future, when do you think we're getting out of this?
I have no idea. First of all, I am a person who tends to not make long-term plans. I am a short to mid-term plans. Mid is like, my long. I am a very day-by-day person. Even having 2 kids, I rather think, what we're living today and tomorrow. That's it. And this past 2 days, because this, I think it's happening to a lot of people, we tend to, change emotions all the time. And there are some days I am super positive and I'm like, we are conquering this, in a week we're going to be happy. But as of yesterday, I just went all the way to the bottom of everything. And I'm like, it's not worth it. Let's just, forget about it. People are never going to go back to normal, to school. We're never going to sit on a bar again. We're never going to listen to live music again. It was overwhelming. Yesterday, it was really bad. Today, I'm a little bit better. So if I could predict anything, I predict what I'm going to make for dinner tonight.
It's a really fair answer. Really fair answer. I totally get it. And it actually is the biggest gift we can give ourselves in terms of happiness, fulfillment, and joy is to stay present, because the fear, anxiety, stress, all of that only lives in the past and the future. So I get all of that, and I can appreciate it, especially if you were in a rut. Did something in particular trigger you over the last 2 days, or just kind of
yesterday when the kids went out? And that sight just made me crazy. I'm like, is this the new normal? Is this what we're going to have to deal with for, I don't know, the next 5 years? How are our kids are going to remember this when they're 20, 30 years old? It's like, they've been in a war. Am I doing enough to make them feel like comfortable, a sense of security? Oh, and then your head goes, am I going to see my parents again? Am I ever going to be able to go to Brazil again? Are they going to survive this shit? So, and it's one thing goes to the other. So if you don't stop and if you're not busy, which I'm not, it just, it takes over you.
Yeah, it really can spiral. It really can. Yeah. And by the way, it's not like any of those thoughts are not warranted. Like, are they necessary to really think about? No, because
nothing's going to change.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to change.
But it's really hard to not go there sometimes. And I have too. So when you're in that space and you're living with 2 kids too, and your mom, like, do you all talk about it? Do you share with them? Like, what is that like, all 3 of you living together, going through all of this?
Oh, they have their own little worlds. One is in the computer, the teenage one is in the computer talking to his friends, watching his online lessons, which I couldn't care less if they happen or not. The small one is like becoming a Fortnite maniac. He plays Fortnite the whole day, and he attends his online school too. And then there's the WhatsApp group of mothers. That's like straight from hell. This thing shouldn't exist. Women are concerned if they're going to take the test, if they're going to go through an exam. I'm like, we're in freaking survival mode, people. Forget about the test. Forget about 6th grade. If they have to redo everything once again, it's 1 year. It's nothing. Right? It's enough what we're living. So we have to be concerned if they're going to take a test or not. If they're going to be a little behind or, no.
It's okay.
Nobody was trained to this. The teachers are going crazy because they're not trained to that. the students were not trained to that, and the parents were not trained to that. So we're all trying to adapt to a new situation that's nobody's prepared. So
Yeah,
forget about it.
talk to me about that though. You said nobody's prepared going through a new situation. You are a parent. By the way,
Yeah.
sorry if this I don't know how to say this lightly. So not only
Say
are
it.
you a parent, you're a new single parent.
Yeah.
Dealing with that, navigating that. Now you're navigating a global pandemic and also being a parent.
And I'm a single parent in Turkish, so I get all the homework. And how can I help? I can't help in Turkish. I didn't even know math in Portuguese. Can you imagine? Am I gonna know math in Turkish? I can't. Just do what you can.
So how are you navigating parenthood? What do you tell your kids? How's this going? How are you doing personally? Like, let's talk about all of that. Let's get into it.
I don't know if I could give you a pinpoint question. I mean, every day is a different day. Every day I have to deal with my emotions, and I have to deal with their emotions of a teenager, 17-year-old, with like it's not enough. Recently, with parents' divorce, living in a new house, and living the situation. So every day is a different challenge. I don't have a
What do you
plan.
tell them though? Like, what is going on as a parent? What do you tell them?
In which way?
Like, we're going through a global pandemic. What does this mean?
They
Why?
know, they know
They're old
they're
enough,
old
huh?
enough. Yeah, they know what's going on. And I say, we're trying this bad. When we are all really stressed, because it happens sometimes, we are all stressed at the same time. I also calm down. It's not easy for anyone. This is all something we're having to learn how to live. I'm doing my best. You guys do your best, and know that not every day is going to be, easy, but we are in this together. But I don't tell it anything other than that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
And
going to be okay. I don't know if we're going to be okay.
I
Oh, in a
love
month you're going to go back to school. I don't know if in a month we're going to go back to school.
what it sounds like to me, and what I really appreciate about who you're being as a mom for them is just letting them be in whatever state they're in. If that means today you need to play games, okay. If that means today you're going to take class, okay. This
Yep.
is just moment by moment. And I think that it that is amazing. And also that doesn't work for some people. Some people need the structure of, okay, I have to go to class and make sure I get this done because that's their way of dealing with it. Otherwise
Yeah.
they'll go crazy. I don't know what the right answer is. All I know is that
I don't think there is a right answer.
it's what's right for you specifically.
I
Um,
do miss having a routine. I do miss a lot. I mean, it really gives me anxiety not to have a schedule, to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, make breakfast, send them to school. I mean, do the whole thing that everybody does, and be in bed by 10 o'clock. Sometimes we go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and drink wine on a Tuesday or Monday, and things that are completely out of our normal life. But
Absolutely.
what's our normal life? It's gone.
So you said you're not working.
No.
Talk to me about what, so it was your own company or were you working for another
Yeah,
company?
it's our company. It's me and my ex-husband's.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
what happened?
It nothing. We stopped. We're
When?
eating what we have.
When did things change?
In January, they started canceling because we work with a lot of corporative work.
Okay.
So people come from, let's say, Brazilian companies bring their people for a
Uh-huh.
seminar,
So you have
whatever.
partnerships with all these different companies.
Yeah, and whatever there was like this, and we lost like 8 jobs that I can count. That was gone. And this is where really we make the money. It's from those corporative jobs. But they cancel because it's too much of a liability to bring 55 people from another country to here and
So that started
traveling all over
happening
the
for you
world.
in January.
That started being canceled in January. I had actually right now, I should be in Bodrum with 55 people having a work trip for a Brazilian meat company.
Wow. Oh man. And how many
And
years did
they
you have
started.
this business?
I've been here 14, 12 years.
12 years. So you've been doing
Yeah.
it for a while.
Yeah.
what was the state of the business on January 1st, or like end of the year? Like, what were you thinking? How was the business doing?
Oh, it was wonderful. Last year was fantastic. After 2016 with the supposed coup d'etat, everything went downhill. 2017, we didn't work at all because all companies also canceled their travelings to here. And then 2018, by the mid 2018 to 2019, started pick it up. And last year was amazing. Last year was really good. So I went to Brazil in January because I said this year it's going to be so much fun. I went to Brazil like this. Woo! I said, I'll get the money back as soon as I go back to Turkey. And that was just gone.
Oh man, I'm sorry about all of that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm still in a good situation. You know, I paid 1 year rent, so I'm comfortable with that.
Oh, so you paid it already?
1 year, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so you don't have to stress about that.
No, not the rent. We have the monthly fees from the building. I mean the electricity.
Okay, but you know you're going to have a roof over your head. Okay, that is a good feeling. Now, what about?
Absolutely.
Now, does the government in Turkey help at all with like small business owners or loans?
It's helping, but since I'm not Turkish, I don't get anything. My ex-husband gets it, and of course, it gets to me eventually. But I, as a foreigner, I don't have any rights.
Even though you lived there for 14 years.
Yeah, and I have a permanent resident card.
Do you pay taxes there?
Yeah,
but you don't get any benefits.
No, I do get benefits like health.
Sure, but I mean the benefits now, like
no.
Interesting. How does that feel?
Horrible. I could use some benefits right now.
Do you get anything from Brazil?
No. Mm-mm.
So you're just stuck in a place where you're like in limbo, kind of, in that regard.
I'm depending on my husband, but we have 2 cars. If we have to sell one.
Okay, and thank God you maintained a friendship with him.
Yeah. I mean, he would have to take care of us either way because, you know, his 2 kids are here.
So, okay, I have a question for you about being single in this time. When you went through the divorce and you were in the relationship for 20 years, I imagine, you know, end of November became like, okay, we're doing this. You moved into a new place, but then you went to Brazil in January. Probably didn't even have time to process all of that to even think about dating.
No, right now.
Definitely not. You're still going through that whole process. Do you now, is it a good thing that you're not working and you have all this time to process it, or is it making it harder?
It's wonderful. No, it's great.
Talk to me about that.
In this situation, it's really good. It's good that I don't have anything to worry about. Not, you know, is he gonna call? Is he not gonna call? Am I gonna go out? Do I have to shave? Do I have to? I'm just in like, you know, a pause mode.
You can just be with you, truly.
Yeah. It's not easy because sometimes, you know, we can be our own worst enemies. But still, it gave me a chance to. I was always a person who needed to be with people, not necessarily with a man at all, actually, but with my friends, with my family. There was always people in my house. For me, if I didn't have anything to do, I would go to a park and sit down and, you know, just watch people around. I was a person that needed to be around people. For me to be secluded from that, to be forced to interact with other human beings, I must be the crazy lady from the 3rd floor because, you know, I go to the balcony and I'm like this to everybody. I go to the market and I talk to the guys in the market. There's a market really near my house. So that's my interaction with humans right now, with other humans, other than my ex-husband, who I see a lot, and the kids.
You need it. I do too. Yeah. I get energized by people. It's
exactly.
Part of why I'm doing these interviews, actually.
Yeah, and thankfully, I went to Brazil. And I came back with a full battery, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because if I haven't gone to Brazil,
and seen your family.
No, it would have been 1 year without them.
Yeah.
Now I'd be crazy because it would be such a big, a harder toll in my
Absolutely.
head. So I spent all the money I had, and who cares? It'll
I'm
come back
happy you did it
eventually.
too. It comes and goes.
Definitely.
It
Yeah,
comes and goes.
exactly.
But you saw your family and got replenished. It's so crazy how so many things lined up in my life too, where I'm like, whoa, like, I don't know why I made the decisions I did at the time. And now I'm like, thank God, like I did exactly how it happened, you know? I really think the universe has our back in that way.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm so glad
First, when I started thinking about it, I was like, God, that money would have done me so good right now in the situation. And I was like, but what's better? To have all that money, not even have a place to spend it, or to have lived what I lived with my family, you know?
Exactly.
And
we know the
that's not
answer.
even a question.
Exactly.
That's not even a question.
You would rather the money, right? Of course, it's those experiences, that time.
Yeah.
And I think that now more than ever, that people are getting that, because it's like, whoa, wait a second. Life, all of a sudden, it's not, I can't work like I was. I can't even spend the money if I had it. So like, what really matters? And it's like, we're going back to basics in so many ways as human beings. And some people are resisting it, but it's really beautiful in a lot of
And
ways.
it's so funny. My sister-in-law in Brazil, she works in a very fancy store, a boutique. And she tells me they're selling like crazy. I'm like, seriously, it blows my mind. How can people think of, I need to have a new dress. I need to have the new collection. I need to be the first one to have that. If you don't even know if you're going to be able to use it.
But
ever.
There's this like emotional thing about shopping.
Right? Oh, I never had that. So I don't know.
But me neither. That is not my thing, but people do it. Like when they're depressed, they shop, they buy, they consume. But it only lasts that gratification for a second, right? That's not how they're going to find their fulfillment. And I think that it will happen. I mean, Brazil sounds like it's just really starting to take it. So we'll see. Give it a month. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So, okay. You were saying that, and going back to the question I was asking about when we were getting out of this, I didn't even ask you the follow-up question.
Sorry.
All I know is that, don't be sorry. All I know is that I'm going to predict what for dinner. I don't know when we're getting out of this, but,
yeah, exactly.
But your government says September. So let's say maybe it's September. When we do look back at this, and I mean the world, because the whole world is experiencing this. When we all look back at this, and I have a feeling you're going to have such a interesting answer. Who are we going to look at as the country that handled this the best? Who is the golden child? And which country failed? Who is the golden fuck up?
Oh, Brazil, it's really on the race for the golden fuck up, I think, unfortunately. Can you imagine all the slums in Brazil? It's out of control. I think Brazil is going to be the one not to be remembered.
How many people live in Rio?
I think 16 million.
Jesus Christ. And do you know how many people live in the country?
In the whole Brazil? 210 million.
Okay, but 16 million in Rio. What, Mexico City is like 20, I think?
Yeah, like São Paulo. São Paulo is also, São Paulo is the biggest city.
Sao Paulo. How big is Sao Paulo?
It's about 20 million people.
It's bigger than Mexico City?
I think it's the same thing.
The same, okay. But those are the cities that I'm like, fuck. Especially because, they're not first world countries. They have massive populations with 10 people plus living in one little house,
Yep.
So, anyway, okay.
I think the golden child is going to be New Zealand.
Okay.
But I was thinking about it. Being an island is much easier for you to control,
Sure, but it's also like harder if it explodes. Like I was in Hawaii when this all started on the island of Maui at the end of February, beginning of March.
Oh
my God. Like I did not want to get stuck there, because the problem is if the supply chain gets fucked and you're on an island.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on.
See, but I am the half full cup version of life,
I know. Me too.
Being an island.
Listen, me too, most of the time. But then I'm like, shit, the reality, got to have a little bit of balance of both. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to ask you that question in the beginning is because you were talking about Brazil, and like, I ask everybody that question, and hands down, universally, the US is the golden fuck up. Every single person has said that. You are the first person that has said something different, being Brazil. And I had a feeling you were going to say that, which is why I wanted to ask you then.
That's sad. I don't say it with any pride. You
Yeah,
can imagine.
I don't think that we should. And I don't say it with pride of the US. It is sad, but it also, for me, talk about glasses half full. It's exciting for me because we have an opportunity now to actually address these fucking issues that have been issues for so long, but lived under the radar.
Yeah.
But
I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, I don't know what's going to happen. She's very economic oriented type of person. The economy is going to be fucked up. We're all fucked up. I'm like, the whole world is fucked up at the same time. So we have only one chance, which is change the economical system.
Yes, amen. Preach, preach. I mean, it's so fucking stupid, like that the banks make so much money just because we exchange our money. Like literally, we lose so much of. Why does it have to? Why can't we have some sort of universal payment, global structure system? I mean, there is an opportunity to do that, but countries are going to fight to be the leader right now, I think.
Yeah.
But there could be an opportunity to be a global war. I mean, truly.
But I think people have to be on a different level to think like this. Even my friend, she's like, how can they change? I'm like, that's not my problem. I didn't do economics. I don't know how to study. I just know it's going to have to change because people are going to come to a point where they cannot pay for anything else.
Absolutely.
So what, are they going to be left to die?
Massive debt. Yeah.
No, they're not going to be left to die.
No, of course not. We'll have to figure it out. I mean, there was a world before cash, right?
Like, yeah, exactly.
So we'll figure it out.
And we're doing this right now, actually. You know, you say, cut my hair, I'll bake you a cake.
Bartering and trade.
You know, yeah, little by little, people are doing this.
And then, by the way, we can go back to remembering what we're put on this earth for, which is not to work, it's to live, right? Yeah. So maybe if there was some sort of, I mean, there is a universal basic income has been a topic of discussion in the US for a while, especially like in Silicon Valley. Like all these tech companies are thinking, well, maybe if we start with a small little town just to test it out. And there have been towns that have tested it out. And with this infusion of money for the government, it kind of is doing that in a little bit. So, hey, and I kind of think the longer this goes on, the more people are going to start being open to it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That I'm not the only one tripping on this.
You're definitely not the only one. Definitely not the only one. And, you know, I think that it's so interesting with these interviews because I've never met you. We've never spoken before.
Yeah.
But I'm so enjoying this conversation.
Me too.
And I
have something that I have to tell you. I mean, it just completely changed my frame of mind from what I was yesterday and today, the whole day. I'm like, so it's like I'm breathing again. I can have a conversation. That
makes me so happy.
Me too, believe me.
I truly think that your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I've known that from traveling, right? Because I've met some incredible people. But to do it virtually, to know it can work that way too, has been really fucking cool. Because so many people I talk to, they're like, oh, I'm into meditation or spiritual. And I'm like, what? Like, how are we the ones that ended up getting connected?
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool. And this leads me to my last question. Then I'll give you an opportunity to share anything you like. We talked about you're a glass half full kind of person. I am too. And an unfortunate truth in all of this is that it sometimes takes darkness to see the light, right? It is in tragedy and horrible situations where the human spirit shines because we have to. So that's what's happening right now. And for that reason, there are so many good things that are already coming out of this. So I would love to know from you, what good are you already seeing come out of this from your family, friends, local community in Istanbul, country of Turkey, the world, the planet? What good are you already seeing come out of it? And what good do you think is going to come out of it?
If people keep doing what they're doing, which that's the big question, are they going to keep it up? Because we have short memory. But what I feel with myself, I'm getting in touch with people I haven't spoken such a long time. And I'm doing FaceTime with my family every Sunday. We haven't done this ever. You know, me, my aunt in Italy, my parents and my brother, we all make Zoom calls every Sunday, schedule at 6:30 in the afternoon, Turkey time. Yeah. So I think people are reconnecting. I have people sending me messages. I haven't spoke to 20 years. Hi, Ali, I was thinking about you. How is it going in Turkey? I hope everything is okay. So we reconnect. So I think that's a great thing that is coming out of it.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I try to do, and I'm not sure if I'm doing it right or not, is that you asked me before, how am I handling with the kids? I always go back to that movie, La Vita Bella. Have you seen it? It's a great movie, Italian movie.
Beautiful Life.
Yeah, where the guy sent to the concentration camp.
No, I've seen that in English. Now I said the title in English. I'm like, wait a second, I do know that movie. With the guy, he's got the dark hair.
Yep, Roberto Benigni.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful message because they're in the fuckest up situation you could ever be, in a concentration camp. And he made his child think all the time that they were in a big game. I can't do that with my kids because they know, what's going on outside. But at least, I try to make movie nights. I try to make, different food. I'm going to make hot dog tonight, which I never do on a weekday. So, I try to make things that they are going to remember in a positive way.
So
whenever, if ever this ever ends.
I was talking to somebody, well, I was hanging out with him last night, but the first time I met him, which is about 2 weeks ago, he has triplets.
Oh.
And they're teenagers, they're 16.
Yeah.
And him and his wife, I can't remember if they do this once a week or they switch it every night, but one person gets to pick a theme for the dinner. So they did an Italian theme. They did I don't know, the 50s one night, the 70s. So they pick a theme, and the food and the music and the activity all matches up with the theme. And I was
I love this idea. It's going to happen. It's going to happen for sure.
Now I'm like, okay, you're trying these foods, mix it into that. They'll love it.
It's going to happen for sure.
And that is so fucking cool. Families were not doing this. It's being a family, playing with each other, getting back to the basics. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else good that you're seeing come out of this, or that you think is going to come out of this?
I think this is all good that is coming out of this. And I just hope that people keep doing it and don't forget, and I believe, unfortunately, the longer we go into this, the better it's going to be for humanity, even though it's
kind of weird, kind of a mind fuck, but I agree.
Yeah, it's horrible if you think of it, but I think it's the only way people are going to appreciate what we're having, because somebody wrote this. We had a lot of people, but we didn't have any time. Now we have a lot of time and we don't have any people. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'll leave it.
How many times people call and say, let's meet for coffee. Tomorrow I can't, today I can't, but let's do it another time.
One day. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
One day, someday doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All that happens right now. And we can
so
make it happen now. People have the time.
So I hope people just, get this, tattooed in their brains. And
I hope so too. And I will leave it on this, and then you can say whatever you would like. I'm feel like I'm part of a greater collective. We are all part of the same collective, but within it, there is this collective of people that have been calling in this, have been wanting a massive change, me being one of them. But how could it happen without massive tragedy or massive war or something? It was how could it happen on a global scale? We couldn't imagine. And then this happened. And it's almost as if this is exactly what we have been calling in. And as sad and as hard as it is for a lot of people, and will continue to be, it's also one of the most peaceful ways in which we could get this message across and actually have the reset that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I'm thankful.
I'm thankful too.
Even though sometimes, like yesterday, I just wanted to get it over with, just swim into the middle of the ocean.
Absolutely. I've been there too.
Yeah. But still, I'm thankful, good things are coming out of it. And I hope that's the way it goes. And I hope it ends soon.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Yeah. And I mean, I just appreciate you being honest with yourself, because we have to deal with those emotions, or they're going to come up at some point. So yeah, let yourself go there, and then you can have that space to be in the good energy.
And also appreciate, you know, all the goods that you have in order to spend this time. You know, we have a roof, we have food, we have our kids, we have access to the internet. I have a friend, she lost her son in December, and she's trying to have to deal with it. You know, like people are, I have another friend, she lost her husband last week in the middle of this. So we're just blessed. Everything is smooth. Everything is fine. We're just on pause.
It is an opportunity. Like you can be reminded to be grateful so much more. And gratitude is like one of the things that can change your life more dramatically and quickly than anything else. So
yeah.
Thank you for all that you said. Is there anything else that you want to share on the record as of March 14th, 2020, May 14th, 2020,
May 14th.
living through this time in history?
I always tell a friend of mine, one day we're going to laugh about it. And so I hope so that one day when this is released, when this becomes your documentary or whatever, we can laugh about it.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it was really a present you gave me to talk to me and to make me feel in high spirits again, you know, like we're having a normal conversation. We can do that by even through a, you know, computer screen. That's wonderful.
Thank you. That lights me up. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.